a gift card today. And with that, I am showing time. Why don't we get going then? I'll say welcome to everybody here today. My name is Carol Mathias, and Dr. Lindsay Doctorman is here, as well as Melissa. Are you Dr. Schramm yet?
No, oh gosh, no.
Okay.
No, thank you, but no, I don't have that title. I haven't done all of that work like a lot of you have.
So, well, you can see our presenters here today. We have our email. So if there's any follow-up questions you might have, or anything you want to chat about with trade and comparative advantage, we're your people that you can come to. So with that, why don't we begin?
Okay, well, glad to be here with everybody. And just quickly, we have the standards. We have both the social studies standards and the business standards. Thank you, Lindsay. Are listed here. And as most of you know, the social studies standards in economics, it's implemented K through 12. The high school economic standards start on page 55 of this link. And then we have the business standards, and also economics is implemented in a lot of the marketing and management standards, but these are the specific ones we'll be talking about today. But the link is also listed there for anyone that wants to have a little more information about those standards. So with that, turn it back over to Lindsay.
Okay, I'm here for, we're gonna get through some trade and comparative advantage. So thank you so much for coming. My name is Dr. Lindsay Doctorman, and I teach business and econ up in Wayne State College, where we're in single digits for the foreseeable future, fluctuating between above and below zero. Uh-oh, I don't know what just happened.
Oh, I think I accidentally did something here.
Carol took away my rights.
I am sorry. I will put you back there. So we're putting you back on.
That's okay.
Sorry, I was trying to check something here. So we do have multiple, so you're back on. So sorry.
No, you're fine. I've been teaching face-to-face, so I'm not as Zoom friendly as some, but okay, we're not gonna cover all 6 of these. I am gonna spend a little bit of time on the first 3, because those are kind of the good foundations, and then I've got some fun resources to show you. So this slide deck is very, very large, but I know we're not gonna get through all of it. So before you start anything with econ, one thing that I always like to tell my students, there we go, is to talk about the opportunity cost. And to do that, I like to talk about Michael Jordan. So if you want to write in the chat, if you can, why do you think Michael Jordan does not mow his lawn? That's a young MJ right there.
Okay, for chat, he has kids to do it, says Karen.
Kids, sure, that works.
I've got his time is super valuable.
That's good.
And it's not worth his time, and the value of his time isn't worth it. He employs a lawn service.
Okay, yes, I love it. Time. That's a key piece. Is there another one? We'll do one more.
The lawnmower isn't tall enough.
That's probably true.
That's probably very true.
A lot of it does have to do with time. So one thing, because when I teach, we have a lot of business students, or, you know, a lot of times they think about costs and they think about finance and accounting. And one thing that makes economics stand out is the opportunity cost, is what makes it a little bit different than everything else. And we think about with opportunity costs is the next best alternative. And a lot of times it's what you could be doing with your time. What's your foregone opportunity? So for Michael, it could be playing for the Bulls. And it's good to remind the students that it's not just it's the cost of your next best alternative. It's not the cost of all the things he could be doing. It's just whatever he could be doing instead of that. So it's all the financial costs as well as the next best alternative. And so that's a good foundation, a good reminder to always keep in the student's mind before you get into talking about trade, especially. And So there's two concepts when we talk about trade that sometimes get misunderstood, but one of them is absolute advantage. So you tend to think, well, if I can produce more of, if Michael Jordan and I were we were the only two people in the world and he could do more of things than I could, like if he could mow more lawns than I could, you would think that he should be the one to mow all the lawns. But you have to think about what you're giving up as well. So when you look at, you have to think of relativity or comparative advantage. So when we use comparative advantage, when we want to see when one person can produce a good or service at a lower opportunity cost, who's giving up the least amount, that's what they should specialize in. And so I've got a little numerical example that I was going to walk you through. And so because comparative advantage is the basis, it's the concept that's the basis for all trade. And so we're going to look at using comparative advantage and looking at a trade example in 4 easy steps. I feel like a salesman. So we're going to determine the good or service where you have your comparative advantage, which one you have the lowest opportunity cost in. Then we're going to specialize in that good. And then we're going to determine the terms of trade with our partner, their trading partner. And then we're going to trade and enjoy. And so I have a spreadsheet that I did not include here, but if you want it, I can send Jennifer the Excel sheet. You can have it. These are just snapshots that we'll just build out over the next 10 minutes or so. So first we have to, before we do the terms of trade, which is like the big, and for me even, I teach this all the time over several semesters. It's always something I have to go through step by step, very slow before I walk into the classroom. And even I tell my students, I speak slower during this time because it's like you have to think of too many things at once. So you might see a lot of stuff on a slide and that's just there for you for future use and for me for right now. But before we do the terms of trade, we got to think of the terms of the game or the assumptions. And so we're going to just have 2 countries, Samland and Guertonia. And the only things that exist in this world are pizza and tacos. It's a pretty good world. And so that's it. And so we're going to start them off with just what the 2 things are that they're having before trade. So before trade, you're self-sufficient, which means everything you produce is also what you consume. And so for Samland, they produce and consume 7 pizzas and 6 tacos. And for Guertonia, they produce and consume 1 pizza and 9 tacos. And so that's kind of where we stand. That's our starting off point. So now we need to look at, this is given. So there's some things that are given and then there's some things that are determined through math. But for right now, we have to start off with what's given. So first we determine the good or service where we have this comparative advantage. So let's look at Guertonia. And we know that if they spent all their resources, their land, labor, and capital all day producing either pizza or tacos, they could either produce 10 pizzas, or if they spend all day with all their resources and switch production, they could produce 10 tacos. So either way, they're going to come out with the same number of pizza or the same number of tacos. And so we don't have money here. The only thing we're thinking about, the only thing that you can do is produce pizza or produce tacos. So when you produce pizza, your opportunity cost for producing pizza is how many tacos you give up. You could call it also your domestic exchange ratio if you wanted to. It'll make more sense when we look at terms of trade, because this is what you're exchanging domestically within the world of Guertonia, the nation of Guertonia. And so Guertonia could either produce 10 pizzas or 10 tacos. And you want to get that in terms of 1 pizza. So you would just reduce, just see over here, we've got 10 pizzas and 10 tacos. You want to just divide both sides by 10 to have 1 pizza equals 1 taco. This one's nice because it's symmetrical. So you could just say, putting it in terms of tacos, 1 taco is equal to 1 pizza. That one's a little more straightforward. So it's a 1-to-1 relationship. Then Samland, if Samland could spend all day and all their resources producing pizzas, they could produce 10 pizzas. Or if they shift production line and put all their resources into tacos, they could produce 20 tacos. So their domestic exchange ratio or their opportunity costs are a little different. So it's a 10 to 20 relationship. So if you want to look at it in terms of pizza, you would want to get that side equal to 1. So you would have to see what you had to do on the taco side to make it equal to 1 on the pizza side. So you'd have to divide both sides by 10, and you'd have 1 pizza to 2 tacos. Then you want to see what this would be in terms of tacos. So you would divide both sides by 20, and you would get for every taco. And so how do you talk about this? We can get deep into the numbers and sometimes forget what is P and what is T. So that last little bullet point, if you want to think about it, for every taco that the people of Samland produce, they're giving up, their opportunity cost is a half a pizza. Or to put it the other way, for every pizza that they produce, they're giving up 2 tacos. So let's kind of put all this together and see. If you want to look at absolute advantage, we would look at who's producing more, right? Whoever can produce absolutely more, then that's one way to look at it. So if you look here, you can see Samland could produce either 10 pizzas or 20 tacos, while Guertonia could produce 10 pizzas or 10 tacos. So just look at that top little box and tell me who has the absolute advantage in tacos. Who's producing more tacos, if you want to put it in the chat. Who's producing absolutely more tacos? No opportunity costs here yet, just the top part. I see some Samlands. Yeah, Samland is producing 20 tacos. If they put all their resources into tacos, it'd be Samland. So in this example, it would say that Samland should produce tacos if we were to use absolute advantage. But then if you look at the pizza, they're both producing the same amount of pizzas. There's no incentive for Samland to want to engage in any trade with Guertonia. And there's also no economic concept of opportunity costs being taken into consideration either. Even though Samland can produce the most tacos, what are they giving up when they do that? And so here it is, here's what we did with the comparative advantage. So if you want to look, and I put it in terms of the good. So if you want to look on the left, you can see the pizza. So if you look here, just look in terms of pizza and think about opportunity costs. So for Samland, if they produce 1 pizza, it's going to cost them 2 tacos. Where if Guertonia devoted resources, they would, for every pizza they make, they're only giving up 1 taco. So here, the one that has the lower price, I had to make my own little notes because sometimes when I look at this, it's like, what? So here, when you think about it, whoever is giving up the least amount of tacos is doing it at the lower cost, the lower opportunity cost. So here is Guertonia is giving up the least amount of tacos. So that means that Guertonia has the comparative advantage in pizza. So why don't you tell me who has the comparative advantage in tacos with the other one on the right-hand side? So those are the prices in terms of every taco they produce. Who's giving up the least?
And we are waiting for answers.
That's okay. It's a good time.
And I see here that Carrie says neither, and Lindsay says Samland. Okay. Anyone else have something to say? Samland, says Deanna.
I see some more Samlands. Yeah, so if you look here, it's Samland. If you look here, Samland is giving up a half a pizza for every taco they produce, while Guertonia is giving up an entire pizza. So it can get a little confusing because all of a sudden we're deep in the weeds and we've got 2 goods and 2 countries and there's just pizza and just tacos, and it can be a little bit much. I get it, especially on an afternoon. Okay, good. Oh, I see. Good. Yeah, so Guertonia should specialize in pizza and Samland should specialize in tacos. I have it. Let's look at this in another way. Whoop, there we go. Okay, so because Samland's giving up the least amount of pizzas when they devote their time to tacos, and Guertonia is giving up the least amount of tacos when they devote their time to pizza. So if they specialize 100%, we're going to do 100% specialization. This is step 2. We made it through step 1. That one's a little gnarly. Step 2 is not so bad. So we've determined they're going to specialize in tacos. And so with the information we gave before, Samland's going to produce, all their resources are all going to go towards taco production. So they're going to produce 20 tacos and no pizza. And Guertonia is going to specialize solely in pizza and no tacos. So if Samland will make 20 tacos and Guertonia will make 10 pizzas. But the citizens of both nations want both. They both want pizza and tacos. And so they've specialized. Now we have to figure out what they're going to do. How are they going to come to this negotiation and figure out how many tacos Samland's going to give up to get pizza from Grutonia. So here's where we go into step 3. So we're going to take a second and think about the terms of trade that Grutonia and Samland have to go into. So how many pizzas will Grutonia give to Samland in exchange for tacos? And how many tacos will Samland give to Grutonia in exchange for pizzas? It's tied to their domestic exchange ratio, their opportunity costs, but now it's talking about across 2 nations. So it's their international exchange ratio. What are they gonna trade pizza for tacos with each other? And the only way they're gonna do this is if they can get a better deal than what they're doing at home, basically. So they have to come to some mutual agreement before trading, and they both have to benefit. So for Grutonia to get tacos from Samland, it's got to be more tacos than what they could be producing with their domestic exchange ratio. So let's just look at, this is the same comparative advantage little bubble that we had before. So this is just talking about pizza. All we're talking about is pizza. So how many pizzas will Grutonia give to Samland in exchange for tacos? That's what we're thinking about. So Grutonia can make 1 taco for every pizza at home, which we see from the 1P to 1T ratio. So they're not going to trade anything. When they go bring their pizza to the border to trade with Samland, they're not going to leave with anything less than 1 taco. And Samland can make 2 tacos for every pizza at home. So they're not going to give more than 2 tacos for every pizza they receive. So they're both setting their own boundaries. Like Grutonia is not going to go lower than a taco, and Samland's not going to go higher than 2 tacos. So we've got some boundaries we can work with. So Grutonia is not going to go lower than a taco. That's what I have over here on the left. And Samland's not going to go higher than 2. So the terms of trade has to lie between these 2. Because if the terms of trade was lower than a taco, Grutonia would not do it. And if it was higher than 2, Samland would not do it. So these are the trade limits. And it's a continuum. I know there's dotted lines, but this is a continuum. You could pick any number between these 2. Really, and they would be in agreement. Grutonia setting the lower bound, Samland setting the higher bound. So we'll just assume 1.5. We'll say they'll meet exactly in the middle, and they'll swap 1.5 tacos for every single pizza. So we'll just assume they come to some peaceful agreement very quickly that their terms of trade, this is the terms of trade, or their international exchange ratio is every pizza they give is 1.5 tacos. And so just like the opportunity cost we figured out for their own domestic exchange ratio, you can figure this out in terms of 1 taco by pizza and how many pizzas. So you would take 1.5 and you would divide it by both sides to figure out how many portions of a pizza you would then trade. It's all interlinked. So here's that. So we could put it in fractions, unfortunately. So how many tacos will Samland give to Grutonia in exchange for pizza? So if it's based off of their initial terms of trade of that 1 pizza to 1.5 tacos, which is also 3.5 tacos, then you can reframe it in terms of tacos by just taking that reciprocal. For every taco they get, they're going to get 2/3 pizza in return. So whenever a pizza comes to the border, 3/2 tacos get to go home. Or whenever a taco comes to the border, 2/3 of a pizza gets to come home. And so that's where the math is. And then you can assume somewhere in between, we've decided they've agreed, this is their terms of trade. For every pizza that Grutonia gives, they're going to get 3/2 tacos from Samland. And Samland is going to give a taco and get 2/3 pizza. And they agreed to 8 pizzas, which if you took that number 8 and you multiplied it by 3/2, you would come to 12 tacos. It'll all work out in the end. Oops. Oh, sorry, I thought I missed something. So when Grutonia makes their pizzas and they sell it to Samland, that would be viewed as an export. Oops, sorry. And so when they bring in tacos, that is viewed as an import. So Grutonia's specialization is in pizza. They're going to make all their pizzas, and then whatever they sell to Samland, that's an export. Any tacos they come in, that's their import. So let's look at this here. So this is this is everything you've put all your hard work into. So all of that math is lying below. And I do have this Excel spreadsheet. I don't encourage you to make these numbers up. I took it from a textbook that I then put into a little more simplified number, because to get all the math to work is no, not something you need to do on your own. You know where your comparative advantages lie as well. So here's where we started. We had that before trade, which was the assumption of just what they were consuming when they were self-sufficient, closed borders. And then we have the after specialization, which we determined on who has the lowest opportunity cost and who's giving up the least for what they're producing. And so they came to that agreement that Samland would focus on tacos, Gratonia would focus on pizza. And then they found their terms of trade agreement and decided that they were gonna trade 8 pizzas. So if you see here, and let's just follow Gratonia. So you've got they've got the 10 pizza. And they know that they're going to trade 8 pizzas. So after specialization, they have 10 pizzas and they're giving 8 of them to Samland. So you go over here and you see that they're going to export, because they're selling them abroad. So they're going to export 8 pizzas, which turns into an import for Samland. That's why it's green. And in return, because the terms of trade are for every pizza you get 1.5 tacos in return. So they export those 8 pizzas, and in return, Samland is giving them 12 tacos. That's why it's negative on Sam's sheet and positive on Gratonia's. So that's the trade activity that's happening, the export and the import. And so you can see what they end up with. So you have after specialization, and then you have after trade. So you can see Samland had 0 pizza, and now they just imported 8 pizzas. So now they have a total of 8 pizzas that they didn't have before. And they had 20 tacos, but then they just gave 12, or they traded 12, not gave. They traded 12 tacos to Gratonia. So now they're left with 8 tacos. Where Gratonia had 10 pizzas, exported 8, is left with 2. And in return, they get 12 tacos. So if you want to see here, this overall end game is they both were supposed to gain, right? They weren't going to go until they weren't going to agree on anything unless they both got more pizza and more tacos. Never thought that would be so possible. But if you look at this first column of before trade, and then you look at what they got after trade, you can see this is where the gains come from. So after they traded, they each gained a pizza. Samland got 2 more tacos, and Gratonia got 3 more tacos. How's everyone doing?
Well, I think there was a couple of good points that were brought here that Jamie Wagner brought up, where she said that, this is one of the hardest things to teach. And I got to say that usually when I'm doing this, I get a flashback to Ferris Bueller's Last Day Off and the econ classroom scene out of my students. But I think Jennifer did bring up also an excellent point here when she said that this spreadsheet activity is a real nice way to lay this out.
Yeah, and yes, I have the spreadsheet where this came from, and I made sure I did the equations and stuff that I can send to you.
And sure, there are requests for that.
Should I just email it to you, Jennifer? I will.
Okay.
And that's, oops.
Go ahead.
I was just going to show a few more of these last slides.
Okay.
I'm done with the
my other presenters. We're down to 26 minutes left for our time.
Okay. So, so when you look at trade and you introduce money into it, you look at exports as money coming in, imports money flowing out. And then there's the trade balances, the deficits and surpluses. And this is what I really wanted to get to, is this website, the Observatory of Economic Complexity, where you can let your students go in there and just go wild, where it says, this is just a screenshot, but it shows, this is just a screenshot of the US, but they have it for all, like, I think they have for over 200 countries, and it's tons of awesome data visualizations. And so what we did was for 2 countries, 2 goods, but they do it for all the goods in all the countries. And so here's and you can click on these. And so like I could click on cars, and the right side would be populated of all the countries we import our cars from. or I could click on Germany and it would show me all the goods that we import from Germany. So it's pretty cool. And then there's the exports as well. And this is just one page that you just scroll down and all this stuff gets populated and it's all hyperlinked. Here it shows the trade balances. And then there's, yeah, and then you can just keep going. There's product space and there's all these different colors and lines and dots, and they'll really appreciate it. And after they see what complexity of math goes behind just figuring out two goods, two countries. And then there's tariffs. They can look at the tariffs and quotas, the restrictions, and they can look by the percentage and the countries, and they can go into look at product filters. And then there's also, I was never planning on going through this, but I know some of your standards are NAFTA or what's now the USMCA. And so I've got the links to the USMCA for all 3 countries. The US and the Canada one are direct links. The one to Mexico is not, it's just the government of Mexico. So if you have Spanish speaking students, they can go in there and easily find it. I'm not as fluent as I thought I could be with finding it. So they can look in there at the government of Mexico. And then here is Brexit. It's good to see the country. And then there's also the UK and everything they're doing to transition into Brexit. And I think that was the end of yep, there we go, Carol. Fast and furious. Thank you for sticking with me. Yeah, it's the Observatory of Economic Complexity from MIT, I think. And it's linked in the slides.
Did you mute yourself, Carol? Are you talking?
Oh, yeah.
I have muted myself, but now I'm unmuted. How many times have we said that mute thing here? So let's go to the new share. Let's go over here. And
do you want me to stop sharing, Carol? Do you want to take over?
If you want to take the share and you can just, I can talk through it and you can, so why don't we do it that way?
You just tell me what to do.
Okay, let's do it as you just keep the share.
That works.
Okay, I'm not seeing it. I'm gonna stop my share. There we go. Okay, here we go. So, all right then. Is everyone ready to play a game? So with that, what I need everyone to do right now in the chat, I want you to put a number between 1 and 30, any number, and it doesn't matter if the number is already taken. So go ahead and take a number. So quickly, everybody needs to do that. And shortly, I will be taking that number and showing you what you have won. Everyone gets to have their item and it is yours to keep. So keep that in mind. Are we ready for everybody to do this? With that, can we change the deal there? Make a note. What have you won? Go ahead and take your number and look at that between 1 and 30. So no changing. I know that if I saw that I got 15, I'd be looking at something else myself. So, okay, we all have our item that we have here. Okay, next slide, please. All right, what I'd like you to do in the, we're going to put the screens on that everyone can unmask, and let's take a look here and let's see. Hold up your hand and say 5 if you think this is the best thing ever. 4 if you think this is great, this is useful, I would really like this. 3, yeah, it's okay. 2 is eh, and 1 is we won't even go with that one. So what are we getting for some of our numbers that we have here? Okay, it looks like most people, Jennifer, if you could, or Lindsay, if you could tell me, how are we doing with the count here?
With the count? Like,
yeah, how are we doing? How many people have fives? How many have fours, threes?
Okay. There's no easy way to do this with you sharing your screen. If you unshare, we can see all the people. Oh, wait, hold on. Hold on, I got it. Okay.
Okay.
I have a two. Do you want to just do hash marks? I can just call them out to you.
Okay, she sees 25. Okay, but you can't see everyone. I don't know why we're not able to see everyone in this
Lindsay,
one.
what are you holding up? Dr. Min.
Okay. I see a 2, a 3, and 3 and 2. Not many people seem very impressed. Oh, there's a 4 that we see there, a couple of 4s, and a 5 we have there. 1. Okay. The point is there that we do see a couple of that, but we have a lot that are not really showing much for us. Now, if we can go back into our slide presentation, please. Okay, now what we're going to do on this next one is turn the slide over. Thank you. Now, I'm going to be hopefully putting you in the right breakout room. And you may trade your item with anyone in that group. Now, you have 60 seconds to do this. So breakout rooms, I have 4 here. I'm going to open the rooms. And are they going in, Jennifer, now?
I don't have an invite yet.
Don't have your room? Okay, how do I assign these people to their rooms here, Jennifer? I'm going to say just here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. I'm sending you to your rooms. Has everyone been given their room? Yes, no? Okay. Okay, welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. So, do we have some trades that happened in our rooms? Let's see. Could someone please, are we all back? Okay. Waiting for some rooms here. Okay. First question that we have here, because of time that we have here. How's our utility? Could we hold up our fingers and talk 1 through 5? How do we feel now about our product? What happened to our utility? Do we feel better about it? I see 4, 4, 4. I see a 3. I'm seeing a lot more happy people with the trades that they had here. Am I correct with that? Okay. So Josh, was that a happier trade, or what's the number that you would give yourself for your utility?
I'm gonna stick with
You're
3.
still a 3. Okay. How many people traded? Raise your hands. Okay, a number of people did trades. How many of you didn't trade, but you maybe have a different appreciation of your item? Okay, a couple people say they have that. So that's great. Now we need to have another breakout session. Now this time we're going to go into 2 rooms. And Jennifer, something's happened with my screen. I can't control this and make it into the breakout rooms again. Could you help me with that? Oh, I got it now. Okay, so my breakout rooms. Now I'm going to recreate this, and it's going to be 2 rooms that you're going to be going into. There we go. And I am going to send you back into your rooms, and let's see how you do on trade this time.
Carol, just tell me when you want me to share the screen.
Okay, why don't you send the screen share back on? And if you'd put that into present, please. There, great. Okay. Yes, are we all back? Let's see, do we have it? Okay, I don't think everyone's back, are they?
I think everybody's back now.
Okay, great. Okay, how do we do? Are we happier now? Happier on a Wednesday afternoon? Okay, how many of you made trades? Raise those hands. What have we got? If we can see the pictures of everybody, I'd appreciate that. How many of you felt that now you're happier? Oh, I see a lot of 5s. That's great. Now, due to time, I'm going to move us ahead. Could we go another slide? Now, if I did have the time, I would do this. I would say that we could try to do a trade with everyone. And you could simply discuss and trade verbally, and you would have 3 minutes to do it. Now, if we because we saw our happiness increase from the beginning to now, we can assume, Lindsay, if you could change the slide, that your utility, you become happier the more you get a chance to trade and the more chances you have to trade. So if you would switch the slide again, thank you. So let's talk this out briefly. What happened to overall happiness for everyone, generally speaking? Did it go up or down? And feel free to unmute and let's discuss. I see fingers going up saying yes. Why? And make sure it's the thumb. I know there's another finger that you might give me to show me how you felt about it, but let's not go there. And did everyone make a trade? Was there anyone here who didn't make a trade?
I did not trade. I made a trade.
Okay, you did not make a trade. And why didn't you? Carrie, you're the one who didn't make a trade?
I didn't make a trade the second time because no one would trade me.
Oh, that's sad. What was the item you had?
It was a light bulb that may work, and they were really stingy about it, I might add.
God, people just don't appreciate things, do they?
I know.
Nobody wanted my 5 cans of Spam either.
They didn't? Oh, people have no taste, I swear. So I'm sorry about that. So, but generally, does trade make people better off? And give them more of an understanding about what they already have. Okay, could we switch one more, please? So that is a game that you can use. Now, if you have a regular class, you can do this game also as something on the Foundation for Teaching Economics called the bag game. And they've got the steps to do that. And I need to also give credit where it's due. Thank you, Dr. Jamie Wagner, for sharing this online activity with me to be used for today. With that, I'm going to throw things over to Melissa. Go right ahead, Melissa. We have 8 minutes left.
Okay. So I will just go through this quickly. And this is something that you can do in person or online. And that's what I like about it. And Carol shared this one and we won't go to the breakout rooms so that we have enough time. But ultimately with this one, it's really important for students to realize that, everything they have, went through a number of places to get to them, right? To them as the consumer. And so, to have students check the tags of their items that are within reach or have items around them. Now you can't always see where something is from. I used to do this with their shoes, and then it got into problems with kids not putting their shoes back on. Don't even ask. But anyway, there's always something, right? But when I did this with shoes, I would have students take one shoe off and look at where their shoes were made. And only once did I ever have a student with a shoe made in the United States. And it was a work boot. The student was wearing a work boot. All the other shoes that I've ever done this with were always made in another country. And so it's a great way to talk about how did that get to you? How did that item get to you? And why did you buy that item? So I think just a tag check, I think Carol had a great idea of, even if you're online, just look at what's around you at your desk or your table and have students discuss where the countries are that they have items from. I think it's a really great way to look at, international trade and kind of introduce that. So in this activity that's listed here, ultimately it's just looking at that and then starting a discussion about how trade really does affect their lives and they don't even realize it. One other thing that I'll often talk about too, when there are different things in the news about maybe certain items being, having a tariff applied, ask students, when you are buying something at the store, do you check the tag then to see where it was made? Very rarely do I have a student say yes, right? Most of us are looking at the price, we're looking at the quality of the item. online or in person. We're not necessarily looking at where it was made. So I think that's important to bring to students' attention as well. So this is just one quick way that you can kind of introduce international trade and how we get those different items to us. Okay, I think
that I will just briefly say with that, it's been a fun activity doing this tag game and having the online students in hybrid learning. I've got students in front of me, I've got students online, and having the focus be on the students online and having the other kids watch them as they try to figure out all the things that are around them and report out where they were made from. So it's a way for my online students to feel part of the class.
Next, we have our resources, and we have a link to the FTE bag game that Carol mentioned, and I believe Dr. Wagner also gave us that link, which is great. And we also have here the Council for Economic Education in their high school economics publication. They have a trading activity, and you know, as you see the title, why do people trade? And we also wanted to make sure to point out that we always have the resource of the Nebraska Council on Economic Education. They're a wonderful resource. And we also wanted to point out that we have our local councils as well. So we have our local centers, excuse me. We have, and on the Nebraska Council's website, if you go to the link listed on the PowerPoint here, if you go to the bottom, all of the local centers are listed there as well. And so we're fortunate to have wonderful resources around the state. And so I would, you know, strongly suggest to anybody to reach out. Again, we are so very fortunate. And if you talk to people across the country that teach economics, you realize how fortunate we are, because a lot of different people today, you know, will tell us that they don't have these resources that we have so available to us. So we're very fortunate. And if you haven't, I would just say that, you know, please reach out, ask for help, and we have wonderful resources available to us. Thank you for the nice words too. I'm happy to help if I can too. Okay, with that, I think Jennifer, maybe back to you.
All right, awesome. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Dr. Doctorman, which I just love saying her name. I say that every time I see you. So thank you for walking us through comparative advantage in terms of trade. And Carol, thanks for walking us through fun activity, and Melissa, all the lessons. Appreciate all of you coming together to put this session on for us. So we have 2 more points of business that we need to get through, and that is a very short evaluation. So we're going to put the link in the chat. And then we're going to award our prize money. So we know that incentives matter. It's Econ 101. So part of the incentive to get people to attend, we know your time is valuable, and we want to reward folks for doing the right thing and coming to PD. So Elise is going to run our Wheel of Wonder. She has all of your names, and we're going to determine who our 2 winners are for a $50 Amazon gift card. So I'm going to turn that over to you, Elise, and we'll get the link in the chat for the eval.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so
I should tell them who you are. Elise is our UNK Center Director. We have all of them except for Gary at Shadron right now. So I'm seeing everyone: Jamie, Lindsay, Tammy, Elise. Woohoo! Anyways, sorry, UNK Center Director. Thank you, Elise.
I didn't even realize it, but here I am showing my support. Okay, so I think, so I went through and I wrote everybody's name down, but if somebody hopped off before I updated this, well, it is what it is. So I hit shuffle so y'all can see that I did not put anybody in any particular order. And so for the first gift card for $50 to Amazon, It's rigged. Nope, nope, I'm just kidding. Mike, you are a winner. All right, well, that'll be an easy delivery. So Mike, you are removed. You cannot win again. And Janet Scott, you are our second winner of a $50 Amazon gift card. Yay. Okay, Jennifer, back to you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations, winners. And the last bit is if you guys could please just do the eval. We're really interested, particularly what areas you want us to focus on for future PD. So that's one of the questions there. Always looking to improve. And so we really, really appreciate your feedback. And with that, we have a few minutes of time. If anybody wants to ask a question, where I'm sure we can entertain them. Otherwise, we'll give you back a few minutes and see you next month.
And I want you to know that you can reach out to me. I know I was fast and furious with some in-depth stuff. So please feel free to email me anytime. Whoops, I can't even write my email. But I'm going to send Jennifer the Excel sheet. It's kind of messy, but I'll still send it. You can look at it.
We'll send you the slides and the Excel sheet so you'll have everything. I want you to also mark your calendars right now for the next one. So we're doing second Wednesdays for 5 months in a row. This is number 2 of 5. So a month from now, on March 10th, it's going to be me as the main presenter, and we're going to be talking about fiscal policy. A lot going on right now in terms of fiscal policy. So I hope you will join us again a month from today. It's actually March 10th is the next one, second Wednesday. So mark your calendar now, but please do RSVP when you see the blurb out there. And with that, thanks all.
Thank you. And thank you. We'll see ya.